So talking about mastering cover letters. So I'm Taylor Scott. I'm with the Paralyzed Veterans of America, and that stands for Paving Access for Veteran Employment. So first off, I'm just going to do a quick run through about PVA, PAVE, and everything like that, and then we'll jump right into it. So PVA is the Paralyzed Veterans of America that helps all veterans and, especially those living with disabilities. We have PAVE, an employment program. We have medical services, architecture programs, service officers, education and research, and other legal services. And we specialize in those with spinal cord injuries or diseases. So PAVE is PVA's employment program. It stands for Paving Access for Veteran Employment. So we focus on those with barriers to employment, and we offer high-touch one-on-one support. And we help, people find employment, education, and volunteer opportunities. And we really serve the entire military community. And as you can see, we have team members located throughout the U.S. And this just allows, us to work wherever life may take you. So if you're moving to an area where there's a closer counselor, that's who we usually try to link you up with, just so they have a little bit more insight to that area. And about why we're here today. So PaceConnect takes, our subject matter experts and puts them on an online platform so we can share what we know about the employment world and also ask, you guys questions, and then you guys can ask us questions about the subjects that we're talking about. So it's very interactive. And if you guys have any questions throughout this program, go ahead and type it in the chat and I can answer it when I'm done. Or you can just speak up when I'm done with it, and then we can go back and talk about whatever you want to. So first off, what are cover letters and why do I need one? So a cover letter is a document that you submit alongside your resume. It's used to highlight additional skills and experience. It relays specifically how you meet the job requirements. It should not mirror your resume word for word, and it may be requested or optional. So I think cover letters are beginning to, phase out with the use of LinkedIn and the use of resumes, but sometimes they still require them. And so when they do, you're going to want to know how to format your cover letter. So your cover letter format should resemble that of your resume in terms of font size being 11 to 12 points. The style should be easy and clear to read. It should be broken up into sections to organize what you're trying to convey. It should be tailored to match each job description, just like the resume. And I usually try to keep these at 1 page max, only because with a cover letter, just like the resume, recruiters take about 6 seconds to look at it. So you really want to have, everything right there in their face, so they don't have to ask questions about, your experience. The first cover letter style we're going to go over is the T style. So this is the more modern style of cover letter that I have recognized, and it's actually the cover letter that I use to get my job. So this is going to be the first half of the T style, and then I'm going to switch to the second half, and then I'll show you how it all fits together. It was just a little bit too meaty to put all in one slide. So the T style resume, it starts off by having, your contact information, the date, the hiring manager's name, anything like that. So along with your professional summary in your resume, you're going to have somewhat of a professional summary on your T-style cover letter. So you are going to tell exactly how you meet the job description. For example, you are applying for an operations supervisor at a warehouse. So you're going to repeat that you are applying for this operations supervisor position, and you meet it with your, 10 years or so of experience in operations management where you were responsible for. And so all of these words that I have underlined are skills from the job description. What I have learned is that whenever you have a cover letter and you're submitting it, just like the resume, ATS systems and applicant tracking systems are looking for keywords. So you really want to stick with the idea of putting as many keywords in the cover letter as you do in the resume. So these skills all came from the job description, and it's basically just saying, this is how I meet your job, and, it repeats the name of the company. So again, we have some keywords, we have some repetitiveness in there. The second half of the T-style cover letter is going to be more of a no-brainer for recruiters. And I really like this style because it takes word-for-word requirements from the job description over here on the left. And then on the right, it relays specific situations or combined experience to match their requirements. So for example, in the job description, it'll have requirements or preferred requirements. And so you are just going to take your requirements, I would say, 4 or 5 of the most prominent requirements. So let's say that, one of the requirements is you have, you're responsible for the direct supervision and utilization of equipment, materials, and people. So on the opposite side of that, you would say how you were directly, you're responsible for the direct supervision of equipment, materials, and people. So on the right, you manage teams of over 100 personnel and the transportation and maintenance of over $15 million worth of military-grade equipment and materials. So as you can see, you just answer their questions. This is why I call it kind of the no-brainer. So another one is prior warehouse supervisor experience required. So on the right, oversaw the inventory of $12 million worth of military assets while managing a department of 37 in a warehouse setting. Again, you're just answering the questions that they have. Do you meet these requirements? Yes, I do. Here is how. And then at the bottom, it just kind of ties up, I'm confident that I would be a great match for this position. Please see my attached resume. You can say looking forward to an interview. You can list your phone number again. Just wrap it up in a short little thank you for your time. The second, and here is the finished product for the T-style. So when this is all smashed together, and it should fit on one page, if you don't put too much information on there, you will have your professional summary and then the table of the requirements and how you meet it, and then a short little, exit sentence. So that is how it should look when it's all put together. As you can see, it's pretty clean and stacked and stuff. The second style is the traditional. And so I think most of you have probably used this one or seen this one before. I don't have a problem with it. It's just not as much of a no-brainer as the other one. So this one, you're going to do some of the same stuff. You're going to restate the job you're applying for, why your experience makes a good fit. You're going to use keywords that you find in the job description. What is going to be a little bit different here is this allows you to give a summary of yourself and your experience and how it relates to the job description. So for example, I am working with someone who was going, she was applying to nursing school. And so, the T-style cover letter that we just talked about wasn't really up her alley because she had never done anything in, the nursing realm before. She was just applying to school. And so within this style of a cover letter, she was able to tell a story about how, her son had a heart condition and, she saw how well the nurses worked with him, and this is why she wants to do it. So I think that traditional letters are good if you want to talk about, why you would be a good fit for the job based off of more or less a story that you're telling about yourself. And then at the bottom, of course, you're just going to restate the contact information and follow-up requests. And so that's basically it. That's, those are the two that I see used the most often. And I think that they're both very helpful in, depending on what job that you're applying for. And I think I had a question, if I can pull it back up. Let's see. Yes, okay, pulling up the chat. We hear you, great. And will most ATS capture T-style table of requirements? Yes, I have saw it get through the system quite often. I know that can be a little tricky because sometimes, if the resumes are all formatted weird, they may not, but yes. I've also seen the T-style. So I have definitely seen the T-style where you have the left and the right side mirror each other. If you're worried about that, you can simply put it like one after another. So your requirement, why I meet it, your requirement, why I meet it, and list it in more of a list than a T-style. I think the T-style looks cleaner, but if you are worried about that, you can just break it down into more of a list as to why you meet those requirements, but they should still mirror each other. But I haven't had a single problem with that cover letter getting through an ATS system. So yes. I've also had a question in the past asking about federal resumes or federal cover letters, and these types of cover letters will work for a federal resume. The cover letters for federal resumes doesn't need to be anything crazy or different, really. And Joseph says, what is your opinion of putting something comical or hobbies? Like, I know this girl and she mentioned that she made really good cookies and the person really liked that because she stood out and she was hired at Google. So I think it just kind of depends on the job that you're applying for. You know, some people have extra things added to their resume. Some people have extra things added to your cover letter, and it's really going to be subjective. So if you have a recruiter with a good sense of humor and, you know, they think that that's clever to put in there, or they're like, oh, great, you know, she cooks cookies, or that was a funny thing to put in there, then yes, she may get looked at, but I don't think that every recruiter is going to see it like that. And so it's just kind of, you know, looking to, it's just kind of, you know, judging what recruiter that you may have. If it were me, I don't think that I would put anything in there that was like that, but that doesn't mean that it's going to disqualify you from a job. And I think too, whenever you're applying for a job, you may want to look at the company culture as well. And so, you know, if they have a company culture that's based on, you know, being humorous, or if they have like a fun company culture, that may be something that, you know, could help you. But let's say that you are applying for a cybersecurity position at a defense contractor. I don't know how funny they are, so I would leave that out. I think it just kind of depends on, you know, the culture of the company and what you think is going to be appropriate. If you do put something funny in there, just make sure, no matter what, it's lighthearted and appropriate. Don't cross a line with something that's not. Someone messaged me privately, thanking me for the story of the nurse. Peter asks, websites to find other templates. I just usually leave Microsoft Word template. Are there others? So I don't ever use websites. And I mean, you can Google cover letters. You can Google how to write a cover letter, and it's going to give you a bunch of different stuff. The two that I have put on here are the ones that I have seen that have worked the best. I have been in the position where I've been looking for jobs, though, before, you know, the job I have now, and I'm like, okay, how do I write a cover letter? And so I got on there and I'm Googling all this stuff, and I'm finding 8 million different ways to write cover letters and resumes. And so the two that I have pulled are the most, I think, successful. Peter, if you can just respond on the chat too, if you would like both of these templates to use for yourself, I can email you those after this course if you would like that. That way you can have those. And then if you wanted to, you know, if you find another cover letter you like the best, I mean, everything's subjective, you can use it, but I just use these two for the reasons I've kind of described.
Thanks, Taylor.
So just let me know.